Investing over the last few years, I have used hundreds of different apps and websites at this point, but in this video, I want to share the specific 7 that I've continued to use up to this day. I'm going to go directly into my computer, show you exactly how I use them, all the ins and outs of each, and at the end, I'm actually going to give one more bonus that's not even an app or a website. So stick around if you want to see that. These are all the tools that helped me reach 6 figures invested in my 20s. And so let's go ahead and jump into my computer. All right, so we're inside of my computer and you can see the first tool and website that we're going to talk about today, which is Empower. This was actually previously known as Personal Capital up until a couple of years ago. Empower does a lot of things. You can use it for budgeting, you can use it for tracking your expenses, following your overall net worth. But the part that I really like is what I'm going to show you here, which is the Empower investment dashboard. When you get into this dashboard, there's a couple of different things that you can do and look at. One of my favorites is the tab that I'm actually on right here, which is the performance tab. And so you can sort this by whatever specific range you want it to. And once you upload your account to this, you can actually sort it by account as well. So I'm going to blur out some account numbers and that kind of thing here. But if there's a certain account that you just want to look at, you can uncheck a certain amount of them or a combination of which that you want to see, and then you can hit done and it will update your performance based on that account that you have selected. Another thing that I like about Empower is the allocation tab. So this gives you a good idea of how your investments are allocated, and so you can search by what you have the most in, which for myself is obviously US stocks, and then each one of these you can kind of click into and expand it a little bit more. So okay, large cap core, what exactly is this looking at? Okay, this is saying, hey, most of my money is in QQQ, VOO in this section, and just gives you a different way to visualize exactly how much money you have in different investments. It's kind of an overall look. Like you said, you can select multiple accounts, you can select all your accounts, and give an overall look of how you are allocated across all your investments. Same thing on the US sectors tab here. You can go into this tab and sort it by what you are most exposed to. So for myself, you can see, at least in this account that I've selected, 27% technology. This is a more growth focused account, so that makes sense for this account. But Empower is really just a good platform to track your overall investment portfolio across all of your accounts, and that is the main thing that I use it for. There's a couple other platforms that I'm starting to trial and test out to do the same thing, but if I think they're better than Empower and I like them more than Empower, I'll make a video on them in the future. So subscribe if you want to see that. But overall, that's Empower. Let's go ahead and get on to number 2, which is actually going to be a little bit different. It's not a tracking website. This is actually something I prefer for education, and that is Investopedia. Investopedia has kind of been my go-to resource for almost all things investing or questions. And I really don't use the Investopedia website specifically like this and navigate it most of the time. Usually I'm putting a question into Google or something like that, and then an Investopedia link comes up and I'm clicking on that link and reading the information on whatever topic I was asking Google about at the time. If you want to get into something more specific that's on the research side of things and looking into individual stocks or individual ETFs and breaking them down a little bit more and getting more into the numbers, this is the site that I actually recommend for that, which is shocker, Fidelity. Fidelity, everyone knows it as a brokerage, but they actually have some great research features that are native to the Fidelity platform. I'm not logged in, so I can't use the chart right now, but they have good charting features as well on here. But the overview, as you can see, is really good. Detailed quote, gross expense ratio, the NAV, what the 30-day SEC yield is, all that kind of shown in one easy spot. Your top 10 holdings at a glance, how much of the top 10 holdings make up the fund, some information here on the fund profile, so this will change depending, if you're looking at different ETFs. There's a quick prospectus here that you can read into. The composition tab is really good, especially for ETFs that I've found, and then performance and risk tab, which I usually spend a lot of time on as well too, because the goal of investments is to go up, and if things aren't going up or beating the S&P 500, they're likely not a great investment. Number 4, and this is one that I use when I want to do more technical analysis, or if I'm looking to kind of screen companies and just look at how the overall market is doing based on mostly technicals. I will actually use a platform called Finviz. And on Finviz, there's a couple different tabs here. I use the group tabs every now and then. I like this chart that they put out where it shows your 1 month, 3 month, half year performance. So you can kind of get a good idea overall of the different sectors in the market and how those are behaving. And there's also a heat map. So if you ever see the screenshots of the heat maps, or you just want a quick overall look at the market, the maps tool is also a good one to look at. But like I said, I usually use the screener tool for the most part. Let's say I want to check out stocks in the S&P 500 and I want to say that they are, let's see here, let's go to technical, and let's say we want to look at ones that are 20% or more below their high. And so, hey, this is the filter we want to set up. So it's automatically going to filter by those, so we still have 194. So let's actually crank this up a little bit more. Let's say 40% or more below their high. Okay, so now we're down to 50. So this here, we're looking at S&P 500 stocks that are 40% or more below their 52-week high. And then even when it comes to the results that you have here, you can actually sort these by valuation. And so if you do this, it'll bring up a bunch of valuation metrics. Or let's say you want to do purely based on performance. And so you can click performance here. And so you can say, hey, of the ones that are filtered here, I want to see the one that's actually down the worst year to date, which in this one is going to be Trade Desk. If you're looking for an overall stock screener just to kind of monitor the market with, or if you have some specific, I guess, kind of investing ideas based on certain metrics, Finviz is a great platform to use to screen for those metrics. Number 5 is a completely underrated tool and one that is great if you have an investing idea and want to see how it has done historically. And that is going to be Portfolio Visualizer, and specifically the Backtest Portfolio Asset Allocation. So what this tool does is let you put in a mock portfolio. You can build a portfolio, however you want, ETFs, individual stocks, a combination of both of those. And you can come in here and enter it, and it's going to give you a ton of different metrics on that portfolio and also tell you how it compared to the S&P 500. To use this, here's an example that I put in. So you can just click edit portfolio. You can change these here, put in whatever you want. So if you wanted to add VTI or something like that, a different ETF, you would just put it in here and you would enter the allocation. As you can see, you can test multiple portfolios at once, and then there's a settings tab here that lets you kind of change the start year, the end year, anything else, rebalancing that you want to change, it'll do that for you. And then you just click analyze portfolio. Usually this will go back to the youngest asset that you have in the portfolio. That's usually kind of how it does its math here. But once you do this, it spits out a ton of great metrics on this. So you get a portfolio summary. So here's our portfolio, portfolio 1, and then here's the Vanguard 500 index that it compares it to. So this is kind of an overall. So our portfolio actually underperformed the S&P 500 over this time. Portfolio growth gives you a great kind of one-on-one chart here to see the performance of it. If you had invested $10,000, how would that have done? Annual returns specifically on each one, you can see how those compare. The trailing return, so it breaks it down by the month, breaks it down by the 3, 5 year, the full time period that was analyzed. Income, if dividends are your thing, you can see how the dividend income would have been over the last few years. A lot of good metrics here that you can look at when you backtest these different portfolios. But as far as tools that give you the most information when you're testing a strategy, Portfolio Visualizer, this backtest portfolio specifically, asset allocation, this feature inside of this website has been my go-to probably over the last, almost since I started investing, to kind of look at different investing strategies. If you have something you're curious about and you want to try, I would highly recommend putting it into Portfolio Visualizer, or maybe your current strategy that you think is great, you've never seen the backtest for to see how it has historically performed. You can throw that into Portfolio Visualizer and it will tell you exactly how it is done historically, and it will give you a great idea if there's any changes you need to make, or if there's maybe a better strategy out there compared to what you are currently doing. Number 6, and this is going to be one for all of the ETF nerds out there like me, and that is going to be ETF Database. And I think this is actually called VettaFi now, or maybe it used to be called VettaFi and now it's actually ETF DB. Either way, this is my go-to website for really ETF specific research. And the reason for that is that there's an ETF for anything and everything really. So there's a specific sector or industry or technology that you want to invest into, there's likely already an ETF for it. And ETF DB is a lot of times how I find those types of ETFs when I'm looking for them. So this is kind of an example of popular ETFs. So let's say there's something in lithium that you want to look for and you want to find a lithium ETF. You click into it and it's going to give you, okay, here are your options that you have. LIT, BATT gives you a great quick look at how they compare to each other. We can also go back and do, let's say you want to do ETFs by type. We click in here, it's going to give us ETFs by sector, ETFs by industry. So let's say we want to look at aerospace and defense. We want to find an ETF specifically on this side of things. Gives you all the options here. You can click into them, see how they've done year to date. Once you click into an ETF, it gives you a lot of quick information that I like looking at, specifically this analyst report for how the ETF is formed. A big one that I've talked about a lot and I have another video on that is super important is the expense ratio. If you haven't watched that, go watch it yet. This actually is pretty high, not the best right there. So overall, just kind of a great website to do a quick glance at different types of ETFs, or if you're researching ETFs or looking for a specific type of ETF to invest in, like I said, a certain technology or something like that. ETF database is a great place to look, and they also have a pretty good compare feature as well too. So you can use that if you're comparing two different ETFs and you're trying to make a decision between which one you want to invest into. Coming in at number 7 is actually one that a lot of people might put their nose up at, but it's actually a calculator. So calculator.net is where I go for almost all of my investing or personal finance calculator needs, because they really have a calculator for everything. I mean, even if you're into health and fitness, they have a BMI calculator here. But most of the ones I use are these financial calculators that they have here. And so as you can see, there's a ton of them that they have here. There's auto loan calculator. So if you're getting a loan on a car and you want to see what your payment is going to be, if you're going to buy a house, there's a mortgage calculator. I use this a ton when we were actually looking to buy our house last year. There's also a retirement calculator here. So how much do you need to retire, your current age, your life expectancy. Put all the stuff in, it spits out some good information. And one of the good ones as well too is this investment calculator. This is one you probably see all over the place, but it's pretty self-explanatory. There's tabs for additional contributions. You can adjust return rate, starting amount, all that good stuff. Each one of these calculators is pretty flexible, and so that's why I like using this site, is that usually if there's a calculator need that I have and it relates to investing or personal finance, this is pretty much the first website I go to, because there's not a lot of ads on it. Everything is pretty simple to plug in and spit out. You don't have to scroll through a whole page like you do on some other calculators or hop between 3 different websites. Everything for the most part is kind of in one place. Another good thing about it is that if there's something you're not clear on, or something you're kind of like, wait, what is that? If you scroll down, most of the calculators all have definitions below them. Check it out if you're one who likes to run the numbers. I know I like looking at the numbers because the numbers don't lie. So put calculator.net in your favorites. It's a good one to check out. If you're still watching, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you will be notified if I find any other great tools in the future. I'll be sure to make a video over them. But I want to go ahead and get to the bonus tool, which is not actually an app or a website, but is actually a newsletter. So Market Sentiment is one that I have been subscribed to for the most amount of time of all other investing newsletters that I have read. So it is a great one to read, besides mine as well. If you're not subscribed, kateinvest.com, go drop your email there. But this is one that I have had for years. There's actually a paid tier to it, which they have some great sales on it if you wait till like Black Friday or sometimes New Year's. They also do a new sale. But what I like about their newsletter is that everything is very data based, and they also look into a lot of the history of performance. So specifically here on this one, this is talking about buying the dip, and so I'll just kind of scroll through here. But they have some great charts that are usually always part of their newsletters. They have a great series, and I think you can find, if you dig around here on this website, about different portfolio strategies and how all of them have performed historically. So overall, if you're looking for one investing newsletter to subscribe to that gives you that's very data backed and it's not someone just kind of tossing their opinions or their hot takes out there, highly recommend this one. It's free to sign up, like I said, for the free tier. There's also a paid tier if you really get into it and like it. So check this one out. This is one that I highly recommend that you get signed up for if you're looking to improve your investing knowledge or just want something investing to read on the weekends when you're sipping your morning coffee. Those are my 7 favorite investing tools that I have used over the last 8 years of investing and actually stuck with and found the most helpful. Like I said, there's a couple that I'm testing, but I don't quite want to make videos on those yet because I only like to recommend things that I have used and that I'm confident with. Drop a comment. If there's a tool or app, whatever it might be, that you really like that I didn't touch on here, leave a comment down below. I'm more than willing and honestly happy to check out different tools. I'm always excited to try new things. And so leave a comment down below if there's one that I left out that is actually on your list. But I hope you found this helpful. Hopefully these can improve your investing. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.